Hi everybody. I am Auntie Jane, and this is a My Rafiki update on what's going on at one of the schools that we've been supporting this term. I know normally we support students, but this time around, um, we had some interesting stuff happen. And this has been a September to remember. We had some interesting things happen in term three. So done what we do as Christians. We step in and we are the hands and feet of Jesus. So what we are responding to is an incident that happened in a place called Endarasha. Endarasha is in Nyeri County, which is in Kenya, over in East Africa. So now we have zoomed all the way in to the continent, to the country, to the county, to is it a town, a village? How would you describe it? Because I know it's rural. I know that part. So how would you describe it, Teacher Sheila?
Hi, everybody. Teacher Sheila. I'm from Nyeri, Kenya. We call it a sub-county. It's actually a small town called Endarasha.
And so we're going to be asking her shortly about some things that happened there. And then we're going to tell you guys about some stuff we've been doing this past week. And then we have some special guests that we're going to bring on, so we don't want to hold that up. So, Auntie Emma, can you start us off by telling us why Indarasha caught your attention recently?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Auntie Jane. Now, Endarasha has been part of us, maybe if I could say so, because Teacher Sheila and her boys have been part of our My Rafiki program for 2 years or so. And Teacher Sheila has been with us, assisting with academic issues with our young people, whereas her son, Terence, the oldest, has been part of our cultural exchanges. So when we do questions and answers, videos, awards, we've had him for quite a while. When we brought Teacher Sheila on board, definitely we had to bring her kids on board, but most specifically Terence, because the younger one is a bit young to participate in the cultural exchange, but he goes by the name Ethan, let me mention him. But Terence has been part of the program for 2 years or so now. Then this term, that term of 2024, we happened to support Terence at his school. And in this way, Endarasha, let me call it Hillside Academy Endarasha, became part of our program. So Terence was part of our program for quite a while, but his school became part of us this term that we just started in September. And we supported him with tuition fee, and we got to know about Hillside Academy by having Terence as a student there and supporting him. And so I think around 6th September, if I'm not wrong, Teacher Sheila, or thereabout, if I'm not very particular with the dates. It was a Thursday morning. And I remember just the way when you're preparing kids to go to school and you switch on the TV just to get updated with the news, because most of the time I miss out on news in the evening, running around with the children in the house. So I normally like switching on the TV and just seeing what happened. Our local stations will run briefs of the news that were there the previous night. And so switching on the TV, and the first thing I see is a highlight, like breaking news, and that will definitely catch your attention. And so breaking news, Hillside Academy Endarasha on fire. And I remember pausing and looking again just to make sure, is this the name that we just paid tuition fee a week or so ago, I think 2 weeks prior? And it caught my attention, and I looked back again and I saw Hillside Academy, and I knew this is Terence's school. This is a school because we had just paid school fees, and Jane, remember, for the kids 2 weeks before, 1 week before for some. So the names of the schools will, of course, definitely be in your mind. You know, you have a child here, so when I saw Hillside Academy, immediately my mind went, this is Terence's school. And the news was saying the school is on fire and some children are feared to have been trapped in this fire. So the first thing I do is I pick my phone, call teacher Sheila just to know, first of all, am I sure this is the very school? Because I did not want to call you and tell you and I'm not sure. And then number two, to know how the boys were. And so I do this call. I ask her, is this what I'm seeing in the news about the school where our boy Terence goes to? And teacher Sheila affirms this and says, yes, that is our school. That is the school where Terence goes to. But then thankfully, I don't want to say it's a good thing because definitely a fire and children lost in the fire is sad in itself. But I thank God the first news she told me was that the boys are safe. Terence and his brother are safe. They are home with me. So that is when she tells me that the fire had happened the previous night. So the news were breaking early morning, but the fire had started the previous night because this school is a rural school that has both what we call day school or children who commute on a daily basis on foot or through the school buses. And then it has another number of students who board, who stay within the school compound. They have dormitories for girls and boys. And so the fire had started off in the boys' dormitory. So that is what she told me. And I think for me, when I was coming to you, the first thing is also, we need to praise God that our boys are safe and they are home with their mom. But again, this was an case that we had to get engaged because this is a school that had already become part of my Rafiki, and we needed to get the details, we needed to know. So that is how Hillside Academy Endarasha became a school we care for and we are concerned about. And that is why today we have this conversation we are having because of the recent fire, unfortunate, the tragedy that claimed about 21 young boys aged between around 8 to 13 or thereabouts. Thank you, Auntie Jane.
Thank you. So, if you know anything about us, we are people who we have to respond. So, Teacher Sheila, first of all, let me ask real quickly, how are you? How is your community? And how are your sons?
Thank you, Auntie Jane. I'll start off with the community. It has really been a tough period, not just for us, even for everyone in the country, anyone who got to hear of the news, because a fire affecting such young children, it really touches one. So it has been a painful 2 weeks because the fire also affected children and families that were very close to us. These were children that we knew. So we thank God so far. God is giving us strength. He's giving the families comfort, the much needed comfort. As we go on with the burial preparations, it was particularly very painful because unlike other deaths now, there was that process of the DNA, the bodies could not be released. Up to this point, as we hold this meeting, the families also still don't have the remains of their children. They were await for the government to release the remains on Wednesday. So for the 2 weeks, the families have been mourning. Some also don't know the fate of their children, about 19 families whose children were burnt beyond recognition. Just got the DNA results on Thursday and Friday this week. So the burial preparations now officially begin. I thank God for the hold that friends and family and the entire community have, because we've been getting strength from each other. The pain, I will not say is becoming less, but by the day we are healing. Slowly we are healing and coming to terms with what happened. My children are okay. Like Auntie Emma said, I really thank God that they were home and safe. They've been at home since the incidents happened. The first week was a bit also emotional for them because now I had to resume back to work. They were being left alone. They had so many questions. They were by themselves. But thank you to my Rafiki, because since last week, the first week, we had the care program. And at least I noticed that even their their mood, they're getting happy, they're at least bonding with other children who are coming to stay with them. The caregiver also looking after them. I'm also able to concentrate at work because the first week after the fire, it was 1 minute you're at work, the next you have to come back home because you don't know how they are, you don't know what they are doing emotionally, maybe they've broken down. But at least with a caregiver, with them being kept busy and engaged in fun activities. The good thing I've loved about it is that they're doing it through fun. They're keeping their day busy, they're being engaged through fun activities, not academics. So at least it has gotten their minds off from the incidents, and they are able to share. So thank you to my Rafiki.
Well, thank you, because you've been the boots on the ground there. You've been really reaching out to and serving your community. And so let's get a little bit of information about what this care program is that we are talking about. What have we been doing? What is it? And yeah, and then we can talk to our special guests, and then we can come back and talk about this a little bit more. So, the care program was our way of we noticed what was going on with teacher Sheila, and kind of in the same manner of how my Rafiki began in the very beginning. It's like, if this is affecting you, it's affecting others in your community too. So, we wanted to uh, help the parents, help provide a safe space for the children to be in while the parents had to resume work. Um, and pulled a bunch of things together and reached out to some of our professionals that we know to get some feedback. Okay, trauma informed care, some counselors. Is this okay to do? Is that okay to do? What kind of space should we make? Because we didn't want the children grieving by themselves at home alone. So we knew that it would be affirming to be in a space with their friends, since it wasn't very likely that they knew what may or may not have happened to their classmates. So, especially since uh, youngest group of students in the boarding um, um, in the boarding house room that burned, was the school that, or the part of the school that burned. I believe it was housing with fourth grade was the youngest.
Yeah, there are a few third graders, but very few. Majority started from fourth grade.
So on up to eighth grade. And so that's old enough to know what's going on. That's old enough to be impacted. And the children who weren't boarding, but those were their classmates. So we wanted to make certain that people who might not even know what's, any information, because for a while, a lot of information just wasn't coming out. We wanted to create just a safer space for them to be with one another during the workday. So, Teacher Sheila, what has been happening? Or I don't know, should we start with Auntie Emma? Because you traveled to Endarasha. And what did you do when you got there? And then what has happened, Teacher Sheila, since Auntie Emma left? So let's start with you, Auntie Emma, and then Teacher Sheila.
Yes, Auntie Jane. I traveled over the weekend, last weekend, not this weekend, to Endarasha. We had to get firsthand support for the community. And so I went over to Endarasha that is in Nyeri. And because we wanted to get the care program running, it was an idea initially, thinking how we can support these children, how we can support their parents, because they had to resume work in week 2. Week 1, at least they were home to watch the children. And what we mean by the children is because once the fire happened, the school had to close. And so all the surviving children, whether they were boarders or commuters, had to stay home. And they are still home because this school cannot resume immediately. There are some measures the government has given them they have to fulfill before reopening. And so we are even not sure to date when they will go back. So we had to think about how do we help the community around Teacher Sheila, because like you have said, her house became a center where most of the parents near her would bring their children, but they were on their own. So her children and her neighbors' children all in one house, but with no adult supervision. And what that meant is that she had to keep rushing home from her school anytime she has a break to go and check on them. Are they safe? Are they okay? So we knew, like we always do, supporting our own, supporting our communities. And so in supporting Teacher Sheila, we knew we had to extend the support to the children near her and around her from Hillside. And so I went to Endarasha to try and see how we can actualize the idea we had in mind into a realistic running project. And so on my way, we got some care packages. Just to mention a few, we were thinking what can these kids can do in terms of getting their mind off the fire. And so we thought play, any physical activity. So we thought balls, we thought skipping ropes, we went drawing books. So we got these things that we knew that age bracket would enjoy.
I have to add, because I thought of my dad when we got this. We got a frisbee.
That is one word that
dad's
even Teacher Sheila and I have had when I was sick. Yes, we got that. And we knew this item and puzzles. Let me mention that. And I don't want to say much about it. Hopefully our guests will get into details about how these packages helped. But we tried to think of items that would really interest that age bracket and keep them busy and keep them engaged, so that when they are home and their parents are out and we get a minder or a caregiver, they will be able to engage their minds. And definitely after such a tragedy, you don't want yourself idle thinking what happened, who am I? Remember, these children did not know or do not know even to date until their names are officially released who was affected and who was not. So we were thinking, how do we get them engaged? And so I traveled with these items and we started off an amazing project on Monday last week. And I hope they tell us how that went. And then maybe Teacher Sheila can briefly add to this before we bring in our guests.
Yeah, sure. Actually, as you were talking, I remembered the night Auntie Jane and Auntie Emma, you called me. The fire had happened towards Friday morning, and we spoke on Friday, but we had a deep conversation on Saturday. And you had actually foreseen that, because I call it foreseeing, because immediately after that conversation the following day, I started getting calls from parents like, Teacher Sheila, now what do we do with these children now that they are going to stay at home? And it was not one parent, it was not two parents, because I remember telling one of the education officials, it was quite funny. Out of the blue, out of everyone in this, they just thought, Teacher Sheila, what do we do now? And then the thought came to me, that's what Teacher Auntie Jane and Auntie Emma had foreseen, that once we resume work, what happens to the children? So like Auntie Emma says, she came to Endarasha and we were so grateful. The kids were so happy about it actually. And she started us off on Monday. And I'm so grateful for that, because now their daily program now starts as early as 8. And the funny thing is that the children have been so excited. Some come as early as 7. Some actually come and meet me in the house before. They can't wait for the day to start at 8. So they come, they have their meetup here with the caregiver. We normally have a program whereby they start with the Bible story for about 1 hour. And the Bible story is quite interesting because the book that my Rafiki provided for them has all the stories from creation, every story, and they're doing it in an animated way. So it becomes very interesting. They take turns reading, the elder ones take turns reading so that they also practice their reading skills. So they are also doing somewhat of academic work also by rehearsing the reading skills. And then after each story, they ask themselves questions. What have we learned about the story? What does you actually, when I come over for break time, the few times that I now do come, you hear them asking each other, were there 5 daughters or 7 daughters? They still have that conversation. And one of their subjects in school is Christian education. So they're also revising for schoolwork. So after the Bible study, they take a break where they take their porridge. They are very excited. I actually did not know they love porridge that much. Each gets a cup. They finish their porridge. They do the drawings. After the drawings, they draw by themselves what comes in their mind. So some draw the flowers, some are drawing the rockets, some are drawing the cars. And after drawing, they color. So after coloring, before their lunch break, they have some few minutes to go play. They really love football. They have their puzzles. Um, Ethan and the small ones, the few ones who are not already in grade one, they have the modeling, the modeling clay. So they're able to make various shapes. They laugh at each other. The elder ones help them. They tell them, no, this is how it should be made. It should be like this. So they are really engaged. Then at lunch hour, they take their lunch. They are really enjoying the lunch because it's a variety of meals. It's not actually like the school program here in Kenya, or let me say here locally in Endarasha. Most of the time they take githeri. Githeri is a mixture of maize and beans. So my Rafiki has supported us through rice. They love, children love rice. And then the accompaniment to the rice has been different days of the week. So they are really enjoying that. In the afternoon, they sing songs, they still as well play. The young ones, they sleep for an hour or two. Then by that time, it's about 4. Actually, I used to think that they would go home at 4. They're extending. Some days I have to tell them, no, you guys, getting dark. You need to go. They really don't want to leave. And I'm really grateful for that.
Amazing.
I'm so grateful that you opened your home for this too.
Yeah.
Um, and so how many did we start with and how many do we have now? And you already know I'm anticipating more. So
Yeah. On Monday we started with 4. The number has been growing 5, 6. So we've not gotten past 6. This week we've not gotten past 6, but we are grateful.
Okay.
I'm sure more will on board, especially next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I pick up on that thread, especially next week, because I think that we do need to know what's going on next week, but I don't want to delay. I want to make certain we talk to our special guests and then we can circle back to that. And there's so much, there's so much more detail that we're going to get out of that. But while we're still in our joyful tone, let's go ahead and talk to our guests. Hi.
Hi.
So we're doing a video, you guys, and we want to learn about how.
I am Auntie Jane. They actually want to sing something.
Go
I
ahead.
am happy today, so happy. In Jesus' name, I'm happy because He has taken away my sins away. I'm happy, so happy today.
Uh, thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Did you learn that? Thank you, Santi. Did you learn that in school or in church?
In school.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. So I hear you guys have been singing this week as well.
Yes.
Oh, what have you been singing?
Auntie Jen, can they tell us who they are?
Ah, sorry. Yes, please tell us who you are.
My name is Jalad.
What grade are
Jalandena.
you? What grade are
4.
you?
4.
What's the name of your school, Gerald?
Hillside Endarasha Academy.
Great.
And you are?
Terence. Bye.
Terrence.
Terence Kahi. Which grade?
4.
All right. And you have a little brother too, right? Who goes to school with you too?
He's coming.
He's coming.
He's coming?
My name is Ethan.
Ah,
Hi, Ethan.
hi, Ethan.
How old are you, Ethan?
Fine.
How old are you?
5. Which grade?
1.
51.
PP1, pre-primary 1.
So
Oh, he left.
pre-primary one over here in the US would be pre-K. So he's
Okay.
okay. So what have you been playing and doing this past week?
We've been playing ball games, skipping ropes, and puzzles. Yeah.
Ah, nice. How many kids are with you guys? How many kids were with you on Friday?
5.
Okay, okay. And what kind of Bible stories have you guys been reading?
God creating the world, Adam and Eve, Samson's downfall.
Wow.
Oh, you guys have covered a lot.
Are you enjoying reading the stories from the Bible book?
Yeah.
Are you doing the
Amazing.
reading?
Yes.
You've been doing the reading. Wow. Okay. Okay. So my next question is, what have you been coloring?
I'm here color the locket.
Okay. So you were the one who did that. Auntie Emma showed me your rocket.
Yes, it's Gerald who drew the rocket and the sun
Nice. Nice
up there.
job. Nice job.
Terence, what did you do?
I draw the car and the guitar.
Okay.
A car and a guitar.
Yes.
Amazing. You love music?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I know we're going to be trying to bring more music to your guys' week. And
Okay.
let's see. Have you guys gone for a walk yet?
No.
We want to
You
put
need to
that.
take a walk this week around your community, around the behind the church, the path that goes around the church and back to the compound, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you share with us what is so beautiful about your environment and your neighborhood.
Do
Okay.
you know there are kids over here who don't have the trees that you guys have? They don't get to see those in their neighborhood. I know it's crazy, right?
And Mount
I
Kenya is
know.
near their home.
You have to show us all of that stuff, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Auntie Jen, I have a question.
okay.
Now, guys, can you tell me what you did so many things. You read Bible stories, you played football, you drew, you did a puzzle. So let me start with Gerald. Gerald, of all the things that you did, what did you love most? What did you love doing most of the things you've been doing?
Puzzles.
You loved the puzzles?
Yes.
Why? If I may ask, why do you like the puzzle more?
Because it's engaging my brain.
Nice. You feel your brain is challenged, you're engaged?
Yes.
Nice. I like that. Terence, what did you like
Yeah.
most of all the activities that you had throughout the week?
Drawing.
Drawing?
Yes.
Why drawing, if I may ask?
Because I love drawing.
It's something that you love doing. Amazing.
Yes.
Auntie Jane, we need to introduce him to Kayla and Samantha. We have some other kids that love drawing in the program. And you have met them actually during our cultural exchange, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, so we
We
will get
also
you to
have an art teacher who's actually hoping to do some art projects with you this week.
Yeah. Thank
nice.
you.
So the second question was, Auntie Jane, the food, the meals we'll be having. which meal was the best for you this week?
Me, I like porridge because it's sweet.
Oh, you love the 10 a.m. porridge?
Yes,
It's sweet?
yes.
Thank you for that feedback. Terence, what's your favorite meal throughout the week?
It's the porridge.
The porridge as well? We might end
Yes.
up giving you guys porridge at 10, porridge at lunchtime. porridge.
I think I might have
I'm
to have
glad-
porridge after this.
I'm glad they love the porridge because it's very, very nutritious, Auntie Jane. And maybe just to mention, we normally mix so many ingredients. We do sorghum, millet, we do Teacher Sheila kindly. There were about 4 or 5 ingredients. They told us that's the
Yeah.
best that you mix for
Sorghum,
children.
millet, ground nuts, the
Mhm,
maize flour, yeah,
mhm.
and the
Yeah,
soy.
they
I
told us
tried some
when you
soya.
mix that, they get all these nutrients. And I think maybe that's why it becomes so nutritious because most of the time porridge flour is one ingredient alone.
Mm.
But now when you go to buy it from the people who sell to the schools, they know how it's blended and all these items are combined together. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying. Auntie Jane, if you have another question, go ahead.
So I wanted to know, how are you guys feeling about, let's start with, how are you guys feeling about doing this another week?
Happy.
Okay, good. How are you guys feeling about school reopening?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Good.
Who will start us off? How they feel about school reopening?
Nice and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
I missed out on what you said, Terence.
Happy.
You are happy about school reopening soon?
Yes.
What do you miss about school?
Do you miss about school?
Uh,
You don't remember?
It's been that long? School did just reopen, so we'll let you slide on.
swimming.
Ah, you do go for swimming?
Yes.
Why didn't he say
On
math?
Wednesday.
He didn't say science. He said swimming.
Activities outside of school. Gerald,
His
why
mom
do
is
you
a
miss
math
so much
teacher,
about
so he
school?
does not want to do any more math.
And what does Gerald miss about school?
Even me swimming.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And karate.
Karate, you are in the karate club.
Yes.
Wow.
Go to your school. We don't have karate in my school where I teach, or I don't teach. I work at a school. I support my school. We don't have karate.
I think my daughter's school does also not have karate, so we all need to go to Hillside Academy.
Yeah, I could see missing all of that. I have a whole stray thought that
And
I will
my
have.
friends.
What's
And
that?
And my friends.
oh, you miss your friends.
Yes.
That part.
That
Yeah, I
is,
know they miss you guys as well, and we are praying that your school does reopen soon. But in the meantime, as we await for the reopening, we look forward to our activities that keeps you guys engaged, right?
Yes.
and I'm glad you guys are together. I'm glad
Even
you
on a
spend time
Sunday.
together.
This is the bond they are creating. They are visiting each other even on a Sunday.
Yeah, Gerald
Oh,
came to visit and say hi.
amazing. I'm glad that you guys have each other and the other children that come to the program. And I'm glad that we are able to do this with you, with all of you, with even the younger ones. And I hope that you go back to school when the time comes and you don't feel that the
Okay.
time you were home
Thank
was
you
not.
for the gift. Thank you for the gift.
Uh, you're welcome, guys.
So boys, can we
Bye.
bye? See you later. They must have been feeling it. Uh, so Teacher Sheila, I have some more questions for you. I just kind of want to make certain that you have the freedom to speak.
Yeah, they've gone.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
Gerard has actually gone home. Mm.
Oh, yeah.
is
He
his
comes
parents
from a
coming?
distance. Actually, he's not so close by.
No. Is his parents coming to pick him?
No. Here they are able to walk as long as there is some daylight. It's not risky.
So, what is happening this week concerning the school?
The school.
Yes, with the families, the government.
Oh.
What's happening this week?
So on Monday, the government will be holding a meeting. They are actually now 22. We also lost another child who was in hospital. So from 21 now, we have 22 dead children. And the meeting now is to talk about, now that they know the identities of the remains, the burial plans. There'll be a mass prayer on Wednesday at a next town. They're not holding it in Endarasha. We've not really known why, but they'll hold it in the next town. They say that for most families, they would want the program will end at 11 a.m. and the government was suggesting that most of the families should bury their kids immediately. But there are few families, for instance, the teacher who teaches, who we come from the same community, told us that he would go request the government to give him until Saturday for him to hold the burial for his son. So we are hoping that he gets permission, because even the families, without having those remains, they've not been able to mourn well and do all the rites that normally happen before a burial. So tentatively, two of the families that lost their children have proposed a date of Saturday, coming Saturday, but that is now tentative to the government's decision. The government is providing some items, but still there are budgets that are left to the family to cater for.
And some of the families have to travel.
Yeah. Most families will not bury within Endarasha because they are here for work, so their homesteads are in other areas. For instance, this one, the teacher who is close to us, he's going to bury his son at a town that is ahead of Nyeri, just past Nyeri. It's called Gatito. Mm.
There's so much geography talking to you all. So one of the things that well, I guess let me just go ahead and transition to this part of it. It's the ask. We have been, somebody was so kind when they saw the news that they gave $100 and we were able to get food. We were able to get the comfort items for the children. We were able to pay a nice thank you stipend to the individual who stayed with the five children, six children, um, during the week. Now we're rolling into week 2. We're anticipating that there may be more children this week, as word trickles out, because we have to manage capacity, but also you know with more children, we want to be able to compensate more to the person who will be helping, or to the person who's watching the children. Um, there's more food that we need to get. We want to add fruit for an afternoon snack. Um, we we're also adding data. for internet connection, so that way we can get some trauma-informed care training for the parents, for teachers, for our caregivers, as well as um, getting, uh, we're still trying to get this together, getting counseling for the children before they go back. When are they talking about reopening school?
At the moment, they've not given us any date yet.
Okay.
They
Okay.
just told us the government gave them a go ahead, but they've not given us dates on when they'll open.
Okay. That's actually a much better thing, because I know I've been trying to track through the news. I'm like, ooh, that's too soon. So I'm glad that there isn't a date yet. Um, and then um, now this past weekend, while or the previous weekend, while Auntie Emma was there was a mass service that was held, and she was telling me that Terrence wasn't able to go, but some of the other children from his school were there.
Yeah, Gerald was there.
Yeah, and then just how that affected him.
Mm, mm. He
Um,
really broke down.
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I was saying, I thought, okay, having not gone through something like this, I actually thought not going with him to the church was try maybe to protect him from the pain, but actually I ended up, I think, causing much more pain. He should have attended. He should have.
So with that in mind, knowing that this Wednesday there's another mass being conducted for, I
All
guess,
the children.
children, and this will probably be the first time that all the names will be released, and so they'll actually know which ones of their classmates um, did not make it. Um, and I'm not even certain if they will be hearing details that they had not heard, or if it's just seeing the pictures and the
Okay.
names. So one of the things we want to add to our care items is we wanted to add pillows. I know stuffed animals is something we would love to add, but that's not necessarily the easiest thing to get in time. And then some of our kids are older as well, so that everybody can use a stuffed animal, but they may not feel like they need one. But a pillow is something that you can hold at night, you can hold in
Mm,
the
mm,
daytime. It's something that can provide comfort to them any time of the day, and they don't have to feel any kind of way. So it's not just a pillow, but kind of like a soft, fuzzy type of pillow. So essentially a stuffed animal without a face. But you know,
Yeah.
um, but wanting to provide those in time for them to have, following the memorial. So we're looking at um, seven, the 7 kids that we know will be attending um, this week, and then anticipating about 3 more. Though I'm going to be completely honest, after the ceremony, I'm not sure how many more children may just need to be around their friends, need to be around the kids that they know. Um, and
And when they hear there's some
yeah.
program, because the word may not have gone round, but I'm sure if
Mm,
they meet up for the
yeah.
mass, there's
They'll tell each
word
other. Yeah.
spreading.
Mm,
Yeah, so interest might grow, like you said.
yeah, um, and emotions will be high, so it'll be much better to not leave the children home alone if that's what some of the families have been doing. Um, and we have already reached out to some neighboring churches who the kids have been playing in their field with permission, and they are already ready to accommodate us should the children
Number grow.
grow.
Yeah.
And then we also have another potential volunteer who is ready to come on and help, because obviously more kids need more caregivers. So um, so right now, and it's quite simple. We looked at the budget. We looked at what we had spent and what we uh, are anticipating spending for this week. And I I will share that screen, and won't won't labor this too much because uh, it's a Sunday morning and I still have to get to church. So,
Yes.
but just looking at this is kind of how we thought and we planned, and we were just casting it out there. We didn't know how many kids there would be, so we're looking, outward to 40. Although Lord knows we just for capacity wise, we're hoping not that many. But we are looking at in the second week of programming, starting with about 6 to 10 kids. And I feel after now that we know there will be a mass, a service that looking, it would not surprise me if we're in the 11 to 15 kids
End
range
of week two.
by the end of week. So at this point, we're looking at this is what it would take to care for 10 kids this week. 1,500 shillings for a caregiver, the internet connection, 3,000, fuel to go back and forth to get the food, to do the printing, to get the pillows and things like that. 3,000. Oh, and then as well as the transport to service and back. Extra boxes of tissue this week. We don't need any more of the hand wash and towels. We have that. We're good. But this is what we would call Kleenex, is what I'm guessing they mean. Is they're laughing at me. Is it serviettes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's Kleenex. I think it's like a brand name. I think it's a facial tissue. So it's 100 for that. Because we figured they will need that after the service. And then the food. We are good on cooking gas because last week we were able to cover it, and it should cover us this week as well. Porridge flour about the same. Chapati flour, because chapati is a nice little treat that we will one day learn how to make at my Rafiki. We have a chef who's ready to teach us. Um, Rice, beans, green grams, which I've heard so much about and don't really know what it is, but we will learn another day. We've increased the number on that. We've increased the number on beans. We've increased the number on rice. We've increased the number on sugar because these kids like their porridge sweet. We're good on salt. We've increased the number on cooking oil this week because chapati requires cooking, frying, right?
Yeah.
Onions and tomatoes to go with the stew, with the rice. And we are going a second week where we are straight on things like bowls, cups, and spoons. So we're really grateful for that. And these are some of the comfort items that we purchased last week, and they should be able to be enough to accommodate up to 10 kids. But here we have added in the pillows, which would be 6,500, and printing. So I'm going to stop sharing this. Oh, no, I'm going to go down. This is what we spent the first week, 179.42. And because we don't need to get the comfort items, we are spending 112.55 this week. And that's what we're trying to raise just for this week, and anticipating somewhere between that 170, closer to the 179 for week 3 as well, because we'll need to re-up on the cooking gas and so much and so forth. And getting a few more things such as more puzzles, more modeling clay, more
And
crayons, and drawing books. So those are things. And then with the printing, I did want to share, but I need to pull that up first. Some of the things. I'm not going to share the filled out one, but Teacher Sheila, If you want to, you can talk about it. If you don't want to, you don't have to talk about it. But I am going to share um, a blank version of what it is we've been sharing with the children, if I can find it, that had printed off.
The How I Feel form?
Yes, the How I Feel form. And so again, like I said, it's totally up to you if you want to talk about some of the things that the children said and circled while I look for it so they can see. And again, we did not give anything to the kids without first checking with professionals because you can have the best intentions and accidentally trigger someone, and we did not want to. So I'm gonna open this document and then I'll share the screen and we can all look at it. And you don't have to necessarily talk about responses. You can also share you as a parent, what did you think about this form and how it this isn't opening correctly at all, so I don't want to share that. As a parent, what did you think about that? In fact, as a parent, what did you think about the program so far?
I'll start off with the form. They've filled in the How I Feel Today form once. At first they were a little bit hesitant because the first question they asked me is that
I'm sorry, your audio just went very weird.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's a phone that was coming through in. So as I was saying, at first they were a bit hesitant to fill the form because the first question they asked me, who is going to see this form? Are you going to show our parents about this form? And I told them, no, this is a very private and confidential form because even themselves were not able to see each other's answers, especially the part that they were opening up in writing. So once they had that, they actually gave a sigh of relief and then started writing them. So I think it's a very good and needed process because at times children may prefer writing what they feel as opposed to talking it out. Not every child is good at opening up through talking. So it's something I'd like to try again this week more oftenly, maybe on alternate, so that how they are coping inside.
I'm glad that they eventually felt safe enough to
fill it up. Yeah.
And so,
the second do it, they'll do
oh,
it
so
even.
Teacher Sheila, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? So I'm saying that I was saying that now that they'll do it the second time, probably they'll be more open up.
So
And those forms can.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Auntie Emma.
Those forms can also help with the counseling session that we may have later on, because the counselor can see where they're coming from, even in the training, not just the counseling, but the training of the parents, training of the teachers, training of the caregiver, to know this is how you handle these emotions, because these are the emotions that children are showcasing. This is how they feel. This is what they felt last week, this week. So when we are even getting the training, I think this is amazing, even sharing it with the training team, so that you're not just trained generally, which is very good, but also you're specifically trained, especially for the team that is at Endarasha, to handle the emotions that are already being experienced by the children. Because sometimes you may do overall, but it's also amazing when you know this is what a specific child is feeling, and this is a child in our care. And so this is how you're trained to handle, as you're being trained to generally deal with all the other children that are going through this tragic trauma.
I have to say I appreciate that the children trusted the caregiver as well, because she was the one who administered this. So Teacher Sheila, what are some of the things that you as a parent um, feel about this form or can appreciate about it?
Sorry, Jen, if you don't mind repeating the question.
Oh, no problem. What are, you as a parent, what are some of the things that you think or feel about your child filling out this form and yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let you share your own feelings.
I actually like the idea because, like I was saying, they won't talk to me much about what is inside. I don't know whether it's because they tend to think we'll view them differently when they open up. So the fact that they can express themselves, it would really be helpful because it's part of the healing process. It's part of a process of knowing their mental well-being. Are they okay? How are they doing? Because they may play, they may laugh, they may, but we don't know what is inside. So the form is really bringing out very well, especially with the diagrams, and it's a very nice concept. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And one of the things that you mentioned when before we even started that, um, I mean, Terrence hadn't at that point he hadn't even really talked about the fire.
Yeah.
Said one of one of his classmates or one of his schoolmates wasn't even talking. I think the parents said that the child wasn't.
Yeah, actually it was Gerald. Gerald is the one that was not talking at all. The first week he was not eating, he was not talking. So when we started this program, even the parents were really grateful. And I keep on checking with them and asking, so how do you see your son now? How is he doing? They're also very grateful because he's now happy. He's alive. He had shut off.
Okay, so
That's my reaction as well because she had said this, but I didn't know it was Gerald. Because
It was
I know
Gerald.
when I left Endarasha after he drew the rocket, he was excited. And I would not have imagined he's the one who had shut down. So I'm grateful that this is also helping in such
He's actually
instances.
one. He's one of the kids who comes here before 8. He's really looking forward to. Most of the time, he literally finds Terence and Ethan in bed, and he's like, "Hey, you guys, wake up! We need to start the day."
Thank
oh
you,
wow,
God, because this is seeing the fruits of what we are doing. And
Yeah.
sometimes the scale may be small in terms of the capacity of that school and the students there. And as a small program, my Rafiki may not reach all the children, but having an impact even on 1, 5, 10
Yeah.
is amazing because this is a testimony. A child who week 1 after the fire had literally shut down is so active. And I'm saying this because I experienced it when I was there on Monday. By the time I was leaving, he was drawing. I am so glad until this concept started off. And if not for all children, for Gerard, for Terence, and other children we know that are in the caregiving package or program, I am glad this
The,
started
care,
off. And I'm
the
hoping.
caregiver actually tells me that he feeds the best of all the children. This week, now that we are through, he feeds the best. And you hear the first week he was not feeding at all.
Wow.
Mm.
he
That's
just needed
such a great
forage.
testimony. And he loves porridge.
Yeah, but even the rice,
You might,
those are days here for lunch, and he's really taking some good amount, and I'm happy.
I'm glad. And Terence as well, having not said
Yeah,
much
now
about the
one,
fire.
yeah, they also have company. Even feeding, they're able to compete with each other. Who finishes fast, who eats better. It really assists.
So I need to get off to go to church very soon, but I want to do before we do that, I want to what are the needs? What are the needs in the community right now? I know that there's some parents that are supposed to be traveling to to bury their child. I know that there are that there's definitely a need for counselors and counseling. I know that there are children who are dealing with having lost siblings.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What are some of the needs? Just I guess, put them all out there, and we will ask our community and see what we can resource, what we can find, what we can pull together, what we can fund where possible.
Um, I don't know where to start because, okay, for counseling, that may be a little bit tricky at the moment because, with what is going on, the Red Cross is actively engaged. Their respective churches are actively engaged. So for counseling, I think at the moment, we may not give them another option for now. Uh, right now, what is going on is just the burial preparations because the government is assisting with a few items, but not everything. Because, like the caskets, they were specifically told the one that will be provided by the government, that is what they will use to the end. It has become a more painful experience because I think for most families, you'd want to dictate the manner in which you lay your loved one to rest. But now, with the government's involvement, there are certain things that their hands are tied on, the casket being one of them. The hearse, we call it the hearse. I don't know whether in the US you also call it that. The vehicle that ferries.
Oh yes, the hearse. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the hearse. The hearse is also being provided by the government, like for Wednesday and for the burial. Uh, the family that I'm close to and I'm part of, we have normally a committee that prepares for the burial. Wanted to have their sons remain after the Wednesday mass prayers to be transferred to a different hospital. I don't know whether they'll be given permission to do that, but the government now comes in and says, even if you do that, we are still the ones in charge of the transportation. So what we are left with is the D date, the burial date. And with the burial date now, there are several items like for normal burial, what goes on. I don't know whether I've answered your question well, Auntie Jane.
No, that's a start. And then I just wanted to say, because one of the things that really, really, really surprised me was that um, whereas over here in the US, when a family goes through mourning and grieving, what we do is everybody gets together, you bring a hot dish over to you bring meals and meals and meals, and the person doesn't cook for a while, and you just everybody just takes care of them. And I'm like, wait a minute, all of these vigils that are going on, it's the family that's grieving, that's caring for the people that are coming over. So that seems like quite a bit of a burden. Um, how was how was that? And where where are the families on that? Because I believe that there was a Harambe being planned and a Harambe is basically like a community fundraiser. Um, um, but a Harambe being planned to support the families.
Oh,
Sheila?
and then let me pick up because I see Teacher Sheila writing to me that her power just went off.
Oh
So
no.
she just tested. So I'm glad that we had done most of the parts that we needed her to input. So I will not be specific in terms of what the barrier needs for the families are, because now I'm not in the Russia. But what I'll put in on this is that, like you said, when we have morning periods and vigils here, it's mostly the family that caters for what is needed in terms of food, drinks, and any other need. And so for a season where these families have had to have their mourning period extended, in the sense that the whole of last week they were having vigils, waiting for the government to release the DNA results. Now you are seeing we are getting into another week again. Probability, if they're saying Saturday, it's another extra week of vigil. So I would say that you're looking at families that will have spent so much in terms of running these vigils. And number two, if they have to transport, though they are offered transportation by the government for the body, they will need funds for.
They'll need funds for that. Mm-hmm. So I want to just wrap up real quick and say this is where you can give. I know this is a big old link, paypal.com/pools/C/981 capital N, lowercase w, capital M-E, one I. That's a long thing. So I'm going to just drop the link everywhere that people can see this video that they're able to give. We have so much other stuff to talk about, Auntie Emma, but we're not going to do it now. We're going to come back and do that with the actual term 3 update because we have great news, uplifting things. But this was both an urgent need, but a chance to be a part of lifting up a community. And I just wanted to point out over here on over here on the fundraiser, um, what we are doing is we have not set a goal because we do not know, this week is it going to be 7? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 20? We want to be able to, whatever the needs are to keep this up for now, as well as, we want to come in and subsidize where we can some of the fundraising that's going on the ground over there for the burial and so forth. So this is kind of like an open-ended fundraiser. Please give whatever you feel compelled to give, keeping in mind that we're talking about the needs being roughly, if we stay at 10 kids, we're talking about 112 this week, $112.55 this week. And actually it's a little bit less than that because this is based on exchange rate of 127.63 when actually this particular week it's about 36.36. So that not a much of a difference.
36? Okay.
So it's about 127.36 today. I can pull that up on the app. But yeah, so and I'm not pulling these numbers out of thin air. I promise you, we use Sendwave, and Sendwave gives us the exchange rate. So I'm going to pull that up now. And today's exchange rate is, with our special rate, 127.37. So for others, it will be 126.11, but for us, it's 127.37. So that's what we are using to exchange, to send money and get it on the ground as quickly as possible. So, like I said, there's Red Cross and things like that people can donate to, and that goes to some of the greater needs, but we're trying to hit the invisible needs, the part that people, don't think about or oversee, those who are also impacted. So, this is what we're looking for just for this week, 112.79. However, there's a possibility that's just accommodating 10 kids. If we raise up to 15 kids this week, we'll have to adjust. We'll have to go back
to the original 170.
And so we're trying to be as resourceful as we possibly can. Also to this list, we are going to be adding a power bank because as you experienced, the power just went out.
Yeah.
And that has been a big difference with Emma and I being able to keep my Rafiki going, is being able to have a power bank, as well as being able to get data instead of relying on the Wi-Fi in the house to download data on the phone. So that's been helpful to us. So those are some things that we'll probably be adding to this list. So it's just like that in real time. You see things are going up in terms of need. And then we also have rechargeable bulbs that we use in Nairobi that we will be getting for Endarasha. We'll get the ones that are solar powered, like we got over in Nakuru. So
Nakuru and Meru, yes. And they have been so helpful, yes.
So there we have it. Now you know what we do when we outside of raising funds for schools. We take care of communities, and we empower those in our My Rafiki family to be able to take care of their community. And we have a cultural exchange coming up this Saturday. And
Sema nasi.
see, and
We have missed those.
yes, we've put it off a couple of weeks now. One because just school reopening and being exhausted, and then after that the fire happened, and then so we're like, okay, we have to do this, and our kids are looking forward to it. So we hope everybody who sees this gets a chance to come. That will be Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern time zone if you're in North America, and that is Saturday the 28th on Zoom, and we'll be getting those links out as well. And that's a wrap for now. We're going to reconnect later on today.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Harry.
Kwaheri.